Hey, what's up, you guys? This is June Lewis on your show, Touche, with your girl, Soul Kitten. What's up, Soul?
What's up, June? I know they're like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the intro? Well, see, we're starting things just a little different tonight. This is the first show of Touche for 2017. We were getting you guys ready all last month for what we were about to drop for you in 2017. Now, our girl Lisa Antoinette couldn't be with us tonight, but that's all right because she's here with us in spirit. So June and I are hanging out in the studio about to get this thing popping for you. We're talking about to spank or not to spank. Now, June, you've seen them like I've seen them. The videos going around, floating around on social media where parents are publicly disciplining their children. And a lot of these videos have gone viral. What are your thoughts about that? Like, do you think they need to go to that extent? Or do you think it's more or less a popularity thing, like see how I can beat my kids and see how many likes I can get? Do you think they're really doing it because they care about their children and they want to shake them up and scare them up? Or do you think, hey, it's a little bit of a narcissistic tendencies in there, if you will? Hey, look at me. This is how I discipline my child. I'm a good parent, like my video. It kind of teeter-totters. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it does. It does teeter-totter. And like I said in the beginning of the show, don't beat me because, beating is a terrible thing. And the people that are doing it on social media, that are beating their children just so that others can see it, I believe that some parents' intentions are to embarrass that child. They want that child to have public humiliation so that maybe that would, change the child's behavior or whatever. So I think that's why they do it. And a little bit of what you said, being narcissistic and saying, like, this is how I do it. I handle it. I don't play no games over here with my kids. So I feel like those are all of the different reasons why they bring it to social media. And do I agree? No, I don't agree that you should embarrass your children. Let's think about slavery. Let's think about back to slavery, how when we would get tied up to trees and we would get beat and the slave master would call all of us to come around and watch, like a public humiliation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think public humiliation never helps someone to get in line. It makes it worse. It scars you emotionally.
That's right. That's something I wanted to get into in a little bit, in about a few minutes, was the psychological effects that this type of discipline, this new discipline, because, back in the day, parents, if you acted up, if your children, when we were younger, if we acted up in school, it would be nothing for us to see somebody else's parent coming there, or even our parent, for that matter, or if you were acting up in school or acting up in the neighborhood, sometimes way back in the day, the neighborhood would discipline you all the way until you got home, and then you would get disciplined again. But now they're kind of moving this onto social media, and I have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with people getting their children in line because they're afraid they may be doing some things that could seriously put them in danger. And a lot of these parents that have, I would say, taken this route to publicly humiliate their children, I don't think that's right. But the reasons why is because they were going down the wrong path. So they were scared. But at the same time, I'm looking at it like, if you're that scared about your child doing X, Y, and Z, let's say your child was on there taking pictures in her underwear, mimicking, some of the other girls she saw because she thought it was sexy and she wanted to be sexy too, and she wanted to get likes or whatever the case is. But you are taking the time, you are making a conscious effort to turn on the camera, press record. You are setting up the scene so you can publicly humiliate your child. I mean, I want to go through that process again. You are setting up the scene. You have to physically, before the beating begins, you are setting up the camera to direct it towards you and your child so you can be seen in full view before the beating goes down. What? Okay, that to me is like, what type of logic is that if that's not for like self-gratification or just to say, hey, look, I'm a real, like I said before, like I'm a real parent. I handle my kids. My kids are not going to be acting X, Y, and Z. See how I take care of my business in my house. This is how I get down as a parent. Really?
Yeah. You know what? I think that when you're raising a child, like when a child gets to be a teenager and, you know, they start getting loose or whatever the case may be, I think that it could be so hard. You have to have maturity. You have to, you know, really be able to think this thing through and really get to know, like, what are your motives? Because when I was raising my sister, which is 14 years younger than me, and I wasn't really mature enough to raise a teenage daughter at the time, and when she started showing her tail and acting out, I did something that was extreme. I didn't beat her. I shaved her head bald. I shaved her whole head bald. Yeah, and my thoughts behind it was I wanted to give her that same public humiliation as the parents are trying to do by beating their children online. The motive behind that I felt was like, I'm going to embarrass her. I'm going to make her feel bad about what she's doing. I'm going to make her feel low about what she's doing, and then maybe she'll stop. But through counseling, I learned that when you strip somebody of their self-esteem like that, it's not that they become a better person. They become worse. Like what I was trying to get her to stop doing was stop being promiscuous, stop chasing and running behind boys. So I thought if I shaved her head that she wouldn't even be in no boy's face anymore, but which would really drew the attention to other parts of her body. She said, okay, I don't have no hair. I might not have a pretty face, but look at my body. My body's banging. I couldn't cut her butt off, you know. I couldn't cut her hips off.
Right.
So she still got the attention that she wanted to get, and she still disrespected the family. And what I did didn't change anything. So if I can tell a parent anything would be really think about what it is that you're trying to portray. What are you trying to get the child to do? And is it even going to work? Is that what you're going to portray to them? By me cutting off her hair, trying to lower her self-esteem, I did that, but not in a way of what I thought. I thought it was going to humble her. It made her turn even more promiscuous.
See, and that's deep. That's what my perception about it is really what you touched on when I said the psychological effects. A lot of times parents, and even that example that you gave as your sister, you know, that's your sister, and you didn't want her to present herself that way to the world. So you did what you had to do. You thought were the right message, and you did what you saw, I'm assuming, you know, what you learned and how you get people in line. You got to discipline them. You know, and in the black community, spanking is not taboo. We all know about getting our butt whooped. Okay. We all know about those family members that you just do not play with. Okay. You know, you're not to act up in school. You're not to act up around. You're not supposed to act outside of yourself. You're supposed to be respectful and utilize all the tools and stuff that were instilled in you in the house. So a lot of times it doesn't happen like that. Sometimes the world comes in, and that's when the discipline comes in. You got to rear them back on the right path. But sometimes the way that we rear can cause more damage than the actions that they were doing before. And that's what you expressed, June. And that's deep. That's a part in a place I kind of want to stay at right there. Like, what do we hope to accomplish by doing this? Do we really think? And I know we're not thinking about during the time, because all we're thinking about is, I can't believe that, you know, Michael or Robin or whoever did this, and they know better. I don't believe they're messing up in school. I don't believe, and sometimes it's out of fear, and you get afraid because it's like, I don't want them to go down this path. As a parent, You don't want your child to go down that path. So you get afraid, and you do the best that you know how to do in order to stop them before they further damage themselves. But we're not thinking about what other damages are we putting on them? Like, is that something else that we really should consider?
And I think it depends on what type of child you're dealing with. You know, I at the time was dealing with a child with ADHD and impulsive disorder, and no one had educated me on how to deal with a child with those disabilities. So when that child is acting out and they cannot control themselves, their impulse and all types of craziness, and then you're trying to like beat them to behave. You're trying to beat them to death. Because me being raised by my grandmother and being a little girl, I didn't get beat as a child because I was the type of child that when you yell at me, I cry. You know what I'm saying? So you know you got those kind of kids that you scream at them, they cry like they've been beat to death. So you never even you never even get a hand to them, you know? And you got the other ones that run wild and you just want to like snatch somebody's neck and you want to beat them. But I think what needs to be done in our communities is we need to be educated on a different type of children. Like another instance, I have a special needs son. When I was trying to teach him how to read and write, now he used to just sit there and look at me with his mouth open like, duh. And you know, I want to pop him like, say A, say B, you know, and you smacking him, you're trying to get them to learn, and then now he's crying and he's shaking. And I said, well, what's wrong with my child? And that's when I realized that that's not even how you can deal with a child like that. You know what I mean? So it's important that we get educated on who is our child? How do they learn? Where are they at mentally and emotionally before we just start giving them the same thing that our parents gave us and that parent across the street gives her son? Each child should be treated differently according to their differences.
That's a good point. See, a lot of times we think it's like one size fits all, and that's not always the case. Like you said, you know, your son learns differently, you know, and your sister has special needs too. So it's like the same thing that may work for one child is not going to work for the other. Why? Because they may take it and understand it in a totally different way than the next child. It's not a one-size-fits-all discipline. Sometimes we think, hey, you know, you take the belt out, you give them a slap or whatever it is, and we're like, that's going to put them back in line, and we sit there and, you know, do things that we normally do to show our authority over the child and show them, like, we're not playing with you. You're not going to do this again, or you're going to get this. You're going to remember this ass whooping that I gave you, you know, because you did X, Y, and Z. You know, sometimes it's that fear. And we think that as long as you sit there and whoop on them or cuss them out or whatever your tactic is for disciplining, you know, your child, physically disciplining as well as mentally abusing your child, because it's two go hand in hand. You know, as a black parent, and I know for me, when I used to get my butt whooped, it was some talking going on while the whooping was going on. You know, it was like,
didn't I tell you?
Yes. You know, but now I want to go. We have a few clips, and we got to give a quick shout out to Lisa Antoinette for bringing this to our table. This topic really, I'm gonna say, got her excited, and she really wanted us to kind of dig deeper into, like, why is this going on? Because, you know, we see those videos floating around on Facebook, and we're like, what? You know, we see them, we watch them, and some are very extreme, and some you're like, damn, you know, the kid was doing such and such, but did the parent really need to do that? We all have our thoughts about what we're seeing, because it's all over the place. You can't deny it. You've probably seen one or two or more than that. And so it was Lisa that really said, well, hey, you know, we need to discuss this. Like, is this an appropriate form of discipline now for our kids? Is this really going to help and save them from, you know, going down a quote-unquote wrong path? So this is so many ways. We're going to dissect this tonight about to spank or not to spank. Now, we're going to go into a brief clip, and it's how a mom humiliates her daughter for quote-unquote being a slut. Or what she perceives as being a slut.
Okay, let's get to it.
Woo. So sit back again. You are listening to Touche on the Cutting Edge Network. This is your girl Soul Kitten, and you have the beautiful June Lewis, up in the studio, and we are getting this thing started, this discussion started. We're going to keep it entertaining, enlightening, and who knows what else, because we have a lot of things up our sleeves. So sit tight, and we'll be back with you shortly.
What's your name is? No, speak up so they can hear you. Okay, and how old are you?
13.
Look at the camera.
13.
You're 13? So why does your Facebook page say that you're 19? Are you 19?
No.
No, you're 13, right?
Yes.
And are you a freak?
No.
Does your Facebook page say you're a freak?
Yes.
And do you even know anything about being a freak?
No.
So you need to speak up so the people can hear you.
No.
Did I just say speak up?
No.
So you got a Facebook page and you're on there with your bra on, right?
Yes.
Is that what you do? Is that what you do?
No.
So you're 13. We have established in the last few seconds that you're not a freak, that you don't sit at home with a bra on, you don't wear makeup, you don't take pictures like that, you don't have no lace panties, you barely know how to wipe your ass good, don't you? Right? Am I talking?
Yes.
You barely know how to wipe your ass good, but you're a freak, right? But you got friends as grown-ass men on your Facebook page, though, right? So tell them that you're 13, you're not a freak, and you don't know how to wipe your ass good. I'm sorry, the camera can't hear you. Don't cry now. You wasn't crying when you was posting pictures on Facebook, was you? In a bra or some little girl in some lace panties that you don't know, you don't own. You still wear panties that say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But you go on Facebook and find a picture that says that you a freak and you wearing panties that's lace and all that. That's what 13-year-olds do, right? You still have a bedtime. What's your bedtime? What's your bedtime? If you don't speak up so this camera can hear you.
10.
And so tell them you're 13.
I'm 13.
What's your name? And you still have a bedtime, right? You don't do what you want. You still watch Disney Channel. Tell them. Tell them you still watch Disney Channel, Christiana. I'm going to give you one more time when I say something to you to speak to that camera and tell them you still watch Disney Channel. Oh, wipe your nose because you don't want the people to see you snotting, 19-year-old. So you still watch Disney Channel and you don't even know how to wipe your ass good. Tell them. Tell them.
I still watch Disney Channel.
And you what?
I can't wipe.
And you don't wipe your butt good, right? Tell them. Tell them.
I just said it.
Say it again.
I still watch Disney Channel and I don't know how to wipe my butt good.
Yeah, and you're not 19.
I'm not.
So, to everybody out there who's her friend, this is going to go on her Facebook page, and I want all of you to know she watches Disney Channel, she has a bedtime, she doesn't sit around in a bra, she doesn't own any lace panties, and she doesn't know how to wipe her butt good at 13. But you're on Facebook in bras and makeup, right? This is how she looks any other time. Right? Look at the camera. Show them how you look any other time. No makeup, no little shorts, no bra, none of that, right? So anybody who's her friend, who's a grown-ass man, might just want to delete her because I'm not the one. She's a kid, and she's going to stay a kid, and as long as she's under my roof, she's going to do what I say. So tell them. You respect your mom and dad, don't you? Tell them.
I respect my mom and dad.
And you don't do what you want to do. Tell them. Because if you do what you want to do, tell them you're going to be in the house all summer long reading books. Tell them. Tell them you're going to be reading books all summer.
I'm going to be reading books all summer.
You're not even going to watch TV. Tell them.
Not going to watch TV.
You're not going to be able to go play outside. You're not going to do anything. Mom's taking all the clothes she bought you back for summer. You're going to continue. Why are you looking at that car? You're going to sit all summer long and think about how you'll never be on Facebook again. Your mom's not a drug addict. Your mom's not a crackhead. She goes to school. She takes care of you alone without the help of your father, right? Tell them. Tell them that your mom takes care of you with no help from your deadbeat dad.
Takes care of me with no help from my dad.
Period. So you might want to delete her. Any grown men, because this page will be off as soon as we're going to leave this on your page and mine so people can see it for a little bit, just so they know. Just so everybody can be aware if they see you in the street, they might want to keep on going because you're 13. Say bye, Facebook. Say bye, Facebook.
Bye, Facebook.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Touche on the Cutting Edge Network. If you want to call on in, that number is 516-418-5637. And what you do to talk to June and myself, Soul Kitten, is press that 1. Again, that's 516-418-5637. And we are talking about to spank or not to spank. Discipline. How parents have turned disciplining their children, trying to rear them off the wrong path back onto the correct path in order to save their lives. But they're doing so by videotaping and publicly humiliating their children. What are your thoughts? Now, June, what did you think about that clip? Because I watched that clip a lot, and I saw many different layers to the way that mother was talking to her daughter on, and even some personal things that she slipped in there that had nothing to do with the discipline. Those are my thoughts, but I want to hear what you had to think.
And, I remember that video. Video on Facebook. And just listening to it, the first thing I thought was, like, she needs to know why is her daughter seeking the attention of men. Why is she on Facebook with her panties? Why is she on Facebook with her bra? Why does she want to seek the attention of men? And then she answered my question when she said that I take care of you by yourself, but I should have no good daddy. That girl wants a dad. That girl wants love. That girl wants attention. And you over here beating her, and you making it be that it's her fault that her dad is not in your life anymore. And like you said, it ain't have nothing to do to be like, oh, I can't wipe my behind. Trying to bring her down, make people feel like she's dirty and she's nasty and she's not, that you should not want her. But the sad part about that is because these guys don't care that she's 13. They don't care. They're looking for a 13-year-old. They're looking for a 13-year-old that wants her daddy so that they could come up in and pretend to be the dad and give her all the love, the quote-unquote love that she's been looking for, so that they can manipulate her and use her for their benefit. Next thing you know, she'll be out there prostituting and whatever. Her mother and the rest of the mothers that are in that mindset need to get to the heart of these children. What's wrong? What are you going through? That little girl could be getting molested right now by maybe the mom's boyfriend. You don't know what's going on. You're just too quick to beat them and kick them or whatever the case may be. And part of the reason I know my own personal vendetta was because I was promiscuous as a child. So when I seen that behavior in my sister, I wanted to kill that behavior. You understand what I'm saying? Right. It's almost like visiting. It's almost like visiting myself. So when I see a mother damn near about to kill their child for that, maybe you're really trying to kill what you see yourself. You're trying to kill yourself that you see in that child.
Mm. June, you just hit on a jewel. I had some things in mind, but I want to center and focus on that. Are parents trying to kill in their children some of the behaviors and traits that they see in themselves? Like, were they like that as a child, or are they exhibiting? Are we as parents? Because you're a parent, June, I'm a parent. So this is the standpoint we have to come from as parents. Like, do we, or do most parents go by that old saying, do as I say, not as I do? Is that really fair for the child?
That's where we at.
And then parents get upset, especially that mother, about her daughter. And I understand as a mother, you don't want your daughter out there because, we know all the perverts that are out there lurking and looking anyway. Even if a little girl if she's not even displaying that sexiness or what she perceives as being sexy, type of dress or attitude or little things you can do, online and make yourself appear as you're older and more experienced than you are, because these are some examples that you have seen from women that are older than you, and you think, well, they're doing it and they're getting attention. I want that attention too, Now, the thing with me, what I heard about that mother, too, again, focusing on her bringing up the daddy. Like, again, I can understand the fear that mother had about her daughter dressing in lace panties and bra and talking about she's, freaky this, and she's a baby. She's a baby, and dressing this way is inappropriate. Doing these things on social media, even if you're not a little girl, that all goes into morals and values. But by her focusing on that and then slipping in the fact that you tell them that I'm the one taking care of you. Now, if that is the case, you know that. Your daughter knows that.
Exactly. That's your job.
Right. That's what you're supposed to do. I was a single mother. Yeah. Okay. You don't have to sit here. And what she's doing is taking her own issues and placing that on a child. In the midst, she mixed up the discipline with her own insecurities, her own issues into that realm too. That's sending a mixed message. On top of the fact, like you said, that little girl is crying out. She's crying out for what? One thing might be because she misses her daddy. She may want a father figure. And we all know, even if there's a father in the home, or if the father's not in the home, let's just say if the father is in the home, but he's not really there. He's physically there, but he's not there. That still can result in a little girl wanting attention and affection from her daddy that she's not receiving. And then if you have a case where the little girl does not have the father in the home, and she wants that attention, she wants that daddy love. But at that age, she's trying to gain that attention anyway by any means necessary to get that attention from older men or from boys, because she's missing that male presence in her life. I think, especially as a parent, and especially as a single parent, instead of sitting there, and I'm not saying that mother shouldn't have chastised her. I'm not saying that at all. But should she have done that on social media? Hell no. I think that is absolutely wrong. But should she be afraid? Yes. But instead of sitting there and, like I said, chastising her, she needs to figure out, like you said, June, I believe this too, what's the root of the problem? Why?
What's the root of it?
Why is she doing it? What's the root? Where's it coming from?
I started hearing, for those listeners who follow us on a weekly basis, I started hearing some of the stuff that we talked about last week about women being competitive. And that's what I heard when her mother was talking to her. You dirty. You ain't got no lace drawers. I'm the one to take care of you. You in this house watching Disney. Like you want to let everybody to be known that you the grown one. You the woman of the house. If anybody's going to be looking at anything, they should be looking at you. It's basically how I heard it, being said. Because I remember growing up, as a young girl, and your mother or whoever's taking care of you, you know, they see you got a nice little body. They want you to wear 2 and 3 sizes too big for you. They wouldn't wear nothing like that on their body. But because they want to make sure that you ain't showing none of yours, they want to have you wearing something that's 2 and 3 sizes too big. And to me, that's all that competitive personality where people take out of the equation that we mother and daughter. And they just start looking at you like you an opponent. You a woman. And that's all they see you as.
And you know, that has always been disturbing to me. Like, you're not in competition. You shouldn't be in competition with your daughter. I mean, come on, parents. Like, come on, mothers. Like, what? Why are you comparing? Why are you in competition with your baby?
If you don't believe it, how? I was gonna say, if you don't notice it, how often do you see a woman beating down her son? How often? But when we look online, when we look on social media, all we see is mothers beating down their women. They listen to me, they women, they daughters. You know, and it's not the fact of like, oh, the boys are not bad. Boys are very hard headed. You know, I got 2 boys. They're very hard headed. But whenever you on Facebook, whenever you online, you see a mother degrading a girl, whether she's abusing her verbally or she's abusing her physically. The little boys, they get a pat on their back. They act out. They get laughed about. Oh, he's so bad. He cute. He acts just like his daddy. He grown. But if it's a little girl, she been and got punched in her mouth.
And sometimes I think it's because the women, especially, I'm not going to say just single it out, but sometimes they put this title on little boys. You know that saying, little man. Like, you're the little man, you're the man of the house. And sometimes when the daddy's not there, okay, sometimes they put that responsibility either consciously or subconsciously on that boy. Like, he is the man in the house. He has to assume these roles. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. But we're going to we're going to go in and see what they have to say. We're going to go to another quick clip, and that's about emotional abuse is far worse than you think. Let's see what they have to say again. You're listening to Touche on the Cutting Edge Network, and we're going to be back with you in a few moments, a few seconds, a few minutes. King. It's your girl Soul Kitten, and I'm in the studio with my lovely sister June Lewis, and we're going to get into this clip and then a brief music break, and we're going to be back with you shortly. Sit tight.
A new study finds that emotional abuse is just as harmful as physical or sexual abuse. So why is no one talking about this? Hey guys, Tara here for D News, and anyone who's not a complete monster knows just what kind of scars sexual and physical abuse can leave on a child. But something that's rarely ever talked about is psychological abuse. There are no laws against it, no billboards on the side of the highway, and yet the American Academy of Pediatrics says it's the most challenging and prevalent form of child abuse and neglect. So why aren't we addressing this issue with the same fervency we give to other more visible kinds of abuse? Well, part of that may be a simple lack of awareness. Up until now, most of the studies on this subject have specifically looked at the long-term effects of sexual or physical abuse. But according to a new study, children who are emotionally abused or neglected can develop similar and sometimes even worse mental health problems than kids who are sexually or physically abused. For this study, researchers analyzed data from 5,616 children with lifetime histories of physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological maltreatment, or some combination thereof. Maltreatment in this case was defined as either abuse or neglect inflicted by a caretaker, so things like bullying, threats, severe insults, isolation, etc. What they found is that a staggering number of children, 62%, had a history of psychological maltreatment, and 24% of the cases they studied were exclusively related to psychological maltreatment. They also found that children who were victims of this kind of maltreatment suffered from anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, post-traumatic stress disorder, and suicidal tendencies at the same rate, and in some cases at an even greater rate, than children who were physically or sexually abused. Especially worrisome is the fact that of the 3 kinds of abuse, psychological maltreatment specifically has the highest association with depression, anxiety, attachment issues, and substance abuse. So clearly this is not an issue we should just be brushing off. According to the U.S. Children's Bureau, nearly 3 million U.S. children experience some form of maltreatment every year. But as the lead author of this study, Joseph Spinazzola, points out, there are no physical wounds associated with psychological abuse. So child protective caseworkers have a particularly hard time recognizing it. He also brings up the point that emotional abuse just doesn't carry the same social taboo as physical or sexual abuse, even though it's equally, if not more, damaging to a child's mental health. As such, our primary goal, he says, should be to implement more public awareness initiatives to help people understand just how harmful psychological maltreatment is for children and adolescents. While we're on the topic of children, I want to remind all of you guys watching this that I host another show here at Discovery called Test Tube that's a lot like D-News, but more geared towards current events. Yesterday, I did an episode on the secret pro-life agenda of crisis pregnancy centers and how many of them have been deliberately misleading women with false information and facts about abortion. They're also keeping women from finding out about all of their options and showing them inaccurate or misleading films or pictures in order to shock or frighten them out of seeking those options. In the meantime, feel free to let us know in the comments below what you think of this study. And remember, all of the links we discuss here on the show can be found right down there in the video description. That's it for me, but as always, thank you guys for watching.
Everybody's so cold out here. I'm all alone out here. I just wanna be a part of something real. Bet you didn't know, yeah, I already knew about everything you've been up to. You should already know it's a small world out here. Oh yeah. And the crazy thing about it, I still give you the benefit of the doubt, even though it seems you ain't never gonna come round. But I ain't always gonna be here, waiting on you to make up your mind. So thought we try to get it right, or we could just leave it. That you didn't know, yeah, already knew about everything you've been up to. You should already know it's a small world out here. Oh yeah, and the crazy thing about it, I still give you the benefit of the doubt, even though it seems you ain't never gonna come round. All the games you wanna go play, all the lies they can get you by in time. Yeah, probably soon you gon' wake up who really loves you, girl. So out of all the people in your life who really loves you, girl, don't let it be too late before you realize who really loves you, girl. Yeah, instead of letting them get away, you should hold on to. Cause you don't wanna look up one morning only just to find yourself alone. No, so you can play all the games, all the lies. Yeah, they might get you by, but in time, probably sooner than later, you gon' wake up and ask yourself, who really loves you, girl? Who really loves you, girl? Who really loves you, girl? Who really loves you,
Yes, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Touche on the Cutting Edge Network. If you would like to call in and weigh in on this discussion to spank or not to spank, that number you can dial is 516-418-5637. And what you would do is press 1. Now, before we went to the break, and you just got finished listening to Music Soul Child, Who Really Loves You, off of his new album. We heard a clip about the emotional scars that spanking can cause children. It can cause them to have some serious psychological effects. One of my questions and some things that I've been thinking about concerning spanking, actually, it's two things. Now, we know, culturally speaking, how we have been socialized, depending on your race, your background, how you perceive discipline. Like, what is discipline to you? We know that in most cases, we don't want to stereotype anybody, but I think I feel safe enough to say this, that Black people, African Americans, they discipline their children. We discipline our children differently than Caucasian or someone from the Asian community or Italian. I can keep going down the list, but there are differences in the way that we try to correct deviant behavior. That's the thing. Now, my question is, I want to see what you think about this. Do you think that spanking causes children to grow up and have deviant behavior, like become a menace to society or a menace in their household or, their community? Do you think it causes them to act out and exhibit the same behaviors that have been put on them? Like, do you think it makes them more aggressive? Do you think it causes them to have an adverse effect compared to the effect that a lot of parents want their children to have, which is to correct them? Do you think it only makes them worse, or do you think it makes them better? I know I said a mouthful because my mind runs a million miles a minute.
It's okay. I think that if a child is being abused, I do not believe that spanking is abusing. I think beatings are abusing. I think, like they said, even in some instances, verbal, or psychological abuse, all of those things. I think when it becomes abusive, when you are belittling a child, you are literally hurting a child, and the child is afraid of you, is when I do believe that it causes psychological issues, and it does cause them to be a menace to society. Like I said, as a child, I didn't get beat by my grandmother because, again, I was raised by an elderly woman, and she was like 60-something, 70-something years old raising me, and I was just a crybaby. But I grew up with issues, because there was other abuse, you know what I mean? So I think any child that grows up with abuse has a tendency to have those issues, like they said, to be detached, to be a menace to society, to have anger issues, to have anxiety. I developed all of those things, and it wasn't until I did some soul searching to actually get to pinpoint where did this behavior come from. I do spank my children. I do believe spare the rod, spoil the child. I do spank my children. But when it comes down to literally beating and humiliating a child, I think that there's levels to it, and I think that there needs to be a balance. And I think that Black and Caucasian people can learn from one another. I do more talking than I was raised to do, My grandmother, she wouldn't talk. Like, if she told you something and you asked why, it's because I said so. There was no more communication, And I'm not like that as a parent. I talk, I explain things. I want my children to be informed so that they understand that the reason why I'm saying no is because this may harm you, And I want them to understand things, because when you just leave something for the imagination to say, oh, because I said so, you do what I say, ain't nobody going to live with and rock with that. Everybody wants to know and dip and dab and see what is what. If you tell your child don't smoke weed because I said so, but yet you smoking and you smiling, they want to smile too.
Right.
They want to know what's so funny. You know what I'm saying? That's what got me into smoking weed when I was smoking, because I used to see my mother smiling all the time, and I'm like, what's so funny? And so I wanted to try it for myself. So I wanted to see what it was about. So I don't believe in, do as I say, not as I do, speak when spoken to, and only with permission. I don't believe in all that old slave mentality, but I do spank my children. And the reason why I spank, I just explained to them today why I spanked them. I said because when you spank somebody and they feel that fire, that to me is symbolizing what life is like. When you go outside the doors and you act a fool, life is going to beat you. Life is going to hurt you, and life is not fair. So that pain that I bestow upon you, that little fire that you feel on your leg, that's just a little piece of what the world is going to show you when you go out there. And so that's why I still do believe in spankings, but I'm not going to be punching them in the face and stomping them out and then posting it on Facebook.
Right. And, June, that's something that I did with my daughter. Like, I think we have to look at the situation, like, what does the situation call for? If you got a smart mouth, I knew I had a smart mouth growing up, and that's a lot of times what caused me to get my behind whooped.
Yeah.
It would start with a look. You knew when you got that look out in public, you weren't stupid, you weren't slow. We knew
you
that
know
look
happening.
means something else is going to follow if you keep acting outside yourself. But with my daughter, I didn't want to just go straight to spanking. Did I spank her when she was growing up? Yeah. Yeah, I did. But I also had, like you said, a balance. I talked to her, and even if I did have to hit her, I would tell her why I hit you. And I always try to instill in her, like, look, what I'm giving you and what I'm telling you in this house is a lot nicer than the way the world is going to give it to you, because the world's not going to care about you like I do. The world's not going to love you like I do. So when you get out there, it's going to be really people that don't give a damn about you, how you feel, who you are, where you came from, nothing. It's very selfish. And if it doesn't benefit them, you are just out of luck. So instead of, we know as parents, you're going to experience things anyway, but we do the best that we can in order to prevent some of those things from happening, like especially if we walk down that road. I can't say, like I said, growing up, I had a smart mouth. That's why I got my behind beat.
Yeah.
My mouth was fresh. Okay? I wouldn't know why such and such. And then I quickly learned, the more I sit there, even if it was a roll of the eyes, or mumbling under your breath. Child, I got beat for mumbling under my breath. All right? That just was not going down in the household, because that's a sign of disrespect to your parents. So with her, I wanted her to learn respect, but I also wanted her to have respect for herself. And I knew sometimes I wouldn't always get that talk. I'm not saying I never got the talk, but I wouldn't always get that talk. There's different parenting styles. There's different styles in, how we discipline our children. But I wanted to give her that balance, because I didn't believe that every situation warranted me getting out the belt or me taking my hand or, whatever else and tagging that behind, and to get her to listen. Sometimes, this is something that I found, when I actually sat down and talked to her straight, she got it. She got it, because I didn't sugarcoat anything with her. And there were times that I acted out scenes, like when she would have a temper tantrum, I sat there and had one with her. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, you see how stupid I look? You see how I'm like, this is how you look when you're doing it. Sometimes they need, like I said, it depends on the situation and how you handle that. Sometimes you just got to give it to them real and raw, and they'll get it. Other times they may need that behind tap, because it's like, oh, you're not understanding what I'm saying to you. Well, let me take this measure so you understand what I'm saying to you. And every time you even think about doing it, you're gonna remember this ass whooping that you're getting. But like you said, no, I'm not gonna sit there and stomp out my baby. I'm not gonna sit there and punch her in the face like I'm punching a grown woman out in the street. That to me is going overboard.
Fine.
And then and then think about how some of these parents sit there and videotape it. That's the thing that disgusts me. I'm like, how you gonna do that to your child? Like, even when I disciplined my daughter, I never sat there and publicly humiliated her. When we got in the house, she knew what it was getting for her, but she knew she had enough sense by what was going on in the house that you better not. You better not embarrass yourself, and you better not embarrass me out in these streets. You're going to have some act right when you walk out these doors, but I wanted her to also have act right in the house. But that's where the discipline went down. And she knew out in the streets, if she even looked like or grumbled, the look came. I found myself doing things that I said, I'm not going to do this when I have children. You know, you're growing up and you're seeing little things your parents used to do to you in order to keep you in check and keep you in line. And I found myself with the finger. I said I would never use that finger. I found a finger came up. I also found a look came out. The look came out plenty of times like, look. I didn't have to say nothing. Just the look came out, and she already knew what's about to go down. You keep on doing whatever. You know, don't try me. But, but you know, that the thing, like we're talking about tonight, is not really the spank or not the spank. It's just how you do that. Does the whole world need to see what you're doing in order for it to be real? I mean, what are you really shooting for? Are you shooting for the admiration and likes on Facebook? Are you really shooting for trying to discipline your child and save your child from a road and a path of harm?
Yeah, like I said, I really think that they're trying to embarrass and make an example, but I can tell them firsthand that making an embarrassment or making an example out of that child is not going to change that child's behavior. You know, and like I said, when I was growing up, being raised by my grandmother, I didn't get beat. But I did get one and only butt whooping at 17 when I was running out there with my boyfriend, being promiscuous and everything. By this time, my grandmother that raised me had died already. So now I was with one of my younger aunts. So that's one of the things that when you're being raised by an old woman, they don't got the strength to run and beat you. But when you're being raised by somebody young, they got the strength, you know. So my aunt came to go get me from that telly party. I was 17 years old, and she beat me with an extension cord. She beat the skin off my back with a cable cord from the back of the TV. But you know, that very next day I went back with my boyfriend. It don't matter if you slice the girl's throat. She gonna go back. If you're trying to keep her away from a boy and her mind is settled that she's gonna be with that boy, it don't matter if you shoot her in the leg. She's gonna hop and skip to that boy's house. So what is best to do is really like talk to your child, get to know what's going on with the mind of them, and try to help them and give them knowledge, because you really can't beat them straight. You know, that's almost like if you got a cheating husband and you just start beating him. Like, that's not going to stop him from cheating. You know, I don't know where we get the notion from. You know, even I'm guilty that it seems like we lose perspective. We lose the concept of what it is that we're trying to do. We want people to respect us and we want people to love us, but then we beat them. And what that does is draw people away from us. Because a year later, I actually ran away from my aunt's house. I ran, you know, at 17 years old, I said, I'm out of here, and I left. So you beating people, you're trying to draw them near, but we're drawing them away. And I guarantee some of those videos on Facebook that we all might have laughed and shared, I guarantee either some of them kids done committed suicide or some of them kids done ran away. Right. Parents don't even know where them kids is at probably to this day.
June, that's true. And that's something that I was thinking about when I was watching, and even when we listened to the previous clip, we have two more clips to get into where a mother beats her daughter live on Facebook, and another one, which was something that you brought up earlier about how you don't really see or hear too often about mothers disciplining their boys. So we got those two clips coming up. But to me, especially with the clip that we listened to before we went to break, it's the emotional scars. a lot of times we can sit there and beat a child, like you said, you got beat by an extension cord. I've been beat with belts, and sometimes the hand hurt worse than the damn belt. Those thick ass, I used to call them the ass whooping belts. And we all know the thick belts that just don't crack. It's like snap, snap. It's thick for a reason. It's thick for tagging that behind, and I got tagged with that belt.
It's funny you say that because I told my kid, I was like, get over here and get tagged. She's like, what? Lord. And then you know how you grab the belt and you pop it, you make it pop in the middle, like make that popping noise. Like, come over here. Go on, go give me that switch.
Right, God. No, I heard stories about people having to go and get switched. No, I never had to get a switch.
Because I was raised with my grandmother. She had me go get a switch. Right. And she ain't never used it. You know them old people, they just sit there, they talk like, don't make me have to get up. Like,
tactic.
What you going to do when you get up? Lord.
And they're like, look, baby, don't you try me. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do if I have to get up from your feet. Yeah. But, child, that ass whooping belt, too, oh, my gosh. I made the mistake one time, and I ran from my dad. I'm like, no. And you know when you run, it only makes it worse. Because I was like, I hate it. I hate when they run. Oh, my gosh. I used to be a runner. My dumb ass until I learned. Like, no, running makes it worse. Running makes it worse. But we're going to get into this clip real fast. We're going to come back and talk about the emotional scars because personally I think verbal abuse leaves a lot more scars, physical abuse, because they're long-lasting and nobody can see them. But we're going to dig into that topic and then discuss these two clips. Again, a mom beats his daughter live on Facebook, and a mother disciplining her child. And then we're going to have a special clip about a young girl that is doing a little a skit of some ass whoopings that she went through, and she's acting that out with her younger sister. So sit tight. We are talking about to spank or not to spank, how many parents have moved to publicly humiliating their children on social media to prove a point, to kind of scare their child straight. Is it causing more harm than good? What are your thoughts? Call on in 516-418-5637. Again, you're listening to Touche on the Cutting Edge Network. So the first clip we're about to get into is a mom beats daughter live on Facebook. Sit tight.
You want to try me, right? No. You want to be a little thought on Facebook, right? Then you all on Facebook and towels and huh? No. Huh? So now that you out? So you say you lying to me? You want to blast me on social media? Huh? Now, I'm going to need y'all to send this bite. Please, share this. Look at you, G. Everybody see you now. Look at you. Look at you. Fucking day in Salisbury, smoking weed like you a fucking man. You ain't no man. Get off of the TV Oh. Get up there! Get up there!
I can't.
Yeah. Oh, you better get the fuck up there. No, it don't. It don't hurt when you smoking weed, do it. It don't hurt when you bringing all them bad grains home, do it. No, the fuck they not. Not with that progress report you showed. Get up. Get up. Now, run and laugh at your friends about this shit. Let them see this. Get up. Y'all ain't no fucking men. Y'all little boys trying to live in a man's world. When you start paying bills and buying shit and going to work, then you're a fucking man. Go to bed.
Ladies, is your hair dry and brittle? Do you have thinning around your edges? Has weave damaged your hair? Or have you experienced hair loss due to a medical condition or medication? Fellas, would you like to have a fuller and richer beard? Well, we have the perfect solution for you. Nourish your hair with Iris Botanicals all-natural hair care essentials. Our restorative hair care system is infused with powerful essential oils to help stimulate hair growth. Go to www.irisbotanicals.com. That's www.irisbotanicals.com and order your restorative care system bundle, which includes the Aloe Coconut Clarifying Shampoo, Honey and Olive Oil Conditioner, and Rejuvenating Hair Butter, all for the low price of only $49.99 plus shipping. You can also find us at www.thecuttingedgenetwork.com/Iris-Patterson. That's www.thecuttingedgenetwork.com/Iris-Patterson. Iris Botanicals, essentials made by nature.
Welcome back. You are listening to Touche on the Cutting Edge Network, and I believe
we have a call.
Let's see who this is. I believe this is Shireen. Shireen, welcome to Touche.
Hi.
What's up?
Well, thank you. Well, I was a little confused because when I seen the spanking of the child, now I believe that there's a difference. I know when I was growing up, to get spanked, not out of, I think when you spank your child out of frustration, it's abuse. Hello?
Yeah, no, we're listening because we just got done saying that, too.
Oh, okay. I just heard the music. I think just cut me off. Okay, no, I just think when you spank your children out of frustration, it becomes abuse. But when you spank your child out of discipline, that's something different. And I think today there's a lot of frustration in parents, especially when it comes to kids who have issues, and a lot of us parents don't know how to deal with it instead of getting, help to learn how to deal with it. But even with, the saying of, spare the rod, I really believe in that saying, but again, it goes back to knowing the difference of discipline and abuse.
Shireen, your phone is going out.
To go down.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
That's okay.
Yeah, we can hear you better.
Okay, let me. My phone is off. I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were saying that we should be getting help because we're beating them out of frustration.
No, I mean, not this is what we're all doing, but some parents, like you have children that have disabilities. Some parents don't know how to deal with it. You have children that have just, been through so much in their life, they don't know how to behave. So a lot of times, us as adults, and I'm not speaking for all, I'm just saying some adults don't know how to deal with it, and they take that frustration out and they just start beating the crap out of their kids instead of taking that breather. Instead of taking that breather, because see, I have a daughter with autism, and sometimes she can drive you over the edge. But then that's also when you go into prayer and you have to talk to God and ask for the patience because it can be a lot to deal with. But again, to spank your child, smack them on their behind, you better sit down right now. You got to be stern. But on the same token, you can't play around with your kids and expect them to respect you or take you serious either.
Exactly. You know what else we were looking at, and I want to know your opinion. We were looking at where parents were beating their children and then bringing it on social media to, expose their children. What kind of effect do you feel like that has on children?
I think that is, I think it's insane and immature, because at the end of the day, why do you have to show everybody what you're doing to your kids? So obviously you're not doing too much of the right thing if you feel like you're, how can I say it? You can't be doing too much of the right thing if you got to put it on social media.
Kristen, that's kind of like how you were saying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Her phone went out again. Yeah, your phone went out again, Shane.
Did it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So, what I was saying, is that no, I think it's very immature and pathetic for any parent to even embarrass their child like that. Number one, you're embarrassing yourself, because social media shouldn't know what you're doing to your child. If that's what you know what I mean? Like, to me, you're showing off. All right. To me, you're showing off, and you shouldn't do that.
Exactly.
Because, some people will look at it as if, okay, she's disciplined, and then some people are looking at it as if this lady's a nut. Even with the whole thing, I've seen something on Facebook about a little boy. He wasn't listening to his parents, so I guess he wasn't behaving at school, and the father cut his hair like an old man.
I've seen that. I did see that.
Yeah. That to me was, I think sometimes this day and age with this generation, the parents go to the extreme. At the end of the day, you got to be careful what you do, because this is a world of suicidal children.
Yeah.
And if you embarrass them a little too much, they might go take themselves out, because somebody's going to laugh and it's going to make them mad. And it's obvious they don't know how to deal with that situation, or they wouldn't be doing what they do to their parents. They wouldn't be acting a certain type of way towards their parents, to the point that the parents don't have no control. So you embarrassing them doing this nonsense on Facebook, it makes you look just as childish as a parent, and it just doesn't help the situation. So, you got to come at these kids in a whole different way. And again, I don't take spanking away from children, but raise your child up from the beginning when they're little, and then maybe they will have a little bit more respect. Not to say they're not going to make mistakes now, but it's all about how we raise our children. If we raise them to, okay, this is going to be my homie today, we're going to drink and smoke, but then you expect her not to curse you out? If you have your children around a man that beats you all day, you expect her not to go find a man just like the one that's beating you? So it's how we raise and what we introduce our children. What they say, children learn what they live.
Yeah.
So obviously there's something going on within the home of the children that they are acting this kind. Even the richest kids are out of control, because a lot of them are on heroin. They're hanging themselves. Why? Because parents don't have enough time to be home, or they're being sexually abused by the father or the boyfriend. No matter what it is, they have issues too. So it doesn't even just lie in the poor children. It's even in the rich neighborhoods. Parents work a lot. They don't have enough time for their children. So the attitudes start. These things happen, and people think because people are rich that children don't have problems. The devil is a liar. Anytime you hear that it was a sudden death, there wasn't no sudden death. That child OD'd off of something, because they didn't get the attention that they needed at home. Like, did you see that one judge? There was one judge. All right, that's enough. Come on, we'll go down and get a little bit. Let's go. You seen the one judge that beat his child, and I believe she recorded him. And people were just like so upset. But I guess he felt like because he was a judge, what are you doing stealing in the store? Now, had that been one of us back in the days, our mother want to take our head over. You out your mind?
Right.
But that goes to show you it's not just us who are, I don't know if you're poor, middle class, but me, I know I'm not middle class. I don't have a lot, but I have enough that I need.
Yeah.
You know, so with that being said, that's how I feel about that. You got to raise them like children and not like adults, and maybe some of them will have a little bit more respect. And that way, when you're in the streets, they don't start flipping out, kicking you. Shut up, Mom. Shut up, Dad. No. But see, my daughter, she's 4 years old. She has autism. But still, it's how you raise them. Because she'll come out her mouth sometimes. And I look at her and I said, you better shut your mouth right now. And I said, you know God don't like nothing that's coming out of your mouth. And then she looked at me like I'm crazy. But, that's what it is. But go ahead, ladies.
Thank you so much, Shireen. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, she said a mouthful. You definitely educated.
She did. I'm ready to pick her brain some more. Shireen, thank you for coming on here.
Well, let me know when you guys are having something like this again. I really don't mind joining in. And usually I don't join in stuff like, like this. I just look at stuff like, okay, here we go with another episode of something. But I think it's, good to, just get in and get educated and just see, because sometimes your voice needs to be heard.
It needs to be, and that's why I just say you're educating. You're showing. You're hitting so many key points, and I think one thing that I want our listeners to really learn is don't be afraid to seek help. If you know that you don't know how to train and raise up a child, like you said, the daughter with autism. If you don't have the tools that are a necessity to raise them children, go and get the help, because that was my end result. Is that I had to go and I had to seek help, because when you have these children and you don't know what to do with them, you've been done. Your whole family gets split apart once child services get involved. So it's
exactly. Let me tell you something. My daughter, my 4-year-old that has autism, I called the Autism Society. I've called everybody that I can that can help me with autism, because it be sometimes that it's overwhelming for me. Yeah. I don't care how stern I am. It is overwhelming to deal with a child who is autistic. Right. So I called up everybody that I could that was in the Autism Society. I got an appointment with the lady tomorrow. I said, oh, no, she's only 4 years old. She goes to school from 8:45 to 1:15. She's perfect in school. But when she gets home, she's off the hook. I said, this is overwhelming. I need some help. So that's why I'm going to seek some help, or y'all going to help me. And it's not about, you being soft, or you swallow your pride. Because as a parent, you can really lose your mind.
You can.
It's not about the white folks sort of. Yeah. Right. And it's not about the white folks getting into your business. It's not about that. If you need that help, get the help that you need. Swallow your pride. Then you might be able to save you and your child's life. You from going to prison and your child from dying.
Amen.
Because of your frustration.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
I tell you. That is the truth. And, sometimes, especially like in the Black community, we really don't. Mental illnesses or learning disabilities, like I said, I don't even like to say learning disabilities. We all learn different. There is such a thing as the different styles of learning. It doesn't mean that you're crippled. It doesn't mean that you should be ostracized from society. It means you have a different way of perceiving things, and who doesn't have that in this world? We all think and perceive things differently. But the thing that I really want, and I know June does, Lisa does, all of us here on Touche, we really want to educate Black people, and it's about a variety of topics, but especially about these taboo topics that we really don't discuss or have that many help centers to help us better educate ourselves so we can further nurture our families in the right way. And one of those things is mental illness or learning disability. Now, one thing about autism that some people don't understand is a sensory disorder. It could be something in the environment that may trigger. And it doesn't mean they're a bad child. It could be a smell. It could be a color. It could be a sound. You don't know what it is.
That is the truth. It's the truth.
Okay.
It's the truth. My daughter doesn't like lotion on her. Yeah, she does. If she gets wet, a drop of rain goes on her arm or her neck, she bugs out. And I didn't know. I didn't know my daughter had autism. I'm going to tell you how I found out she had autism. I said, something's wrong. I have 6 kids. It was just something about this one little person. I said, okay, something's not right. As a matter of fact, we were homeless. And that's how I kind of discovered something was wrong, but I couldn't catch it. So I got in the car. I listened to the Christian station every day. I got in the car on the subject of autism and the signs. That's how I found out that she was autistic. And then I took her to the doctors, and they had me go to another doctor, and they sat there and they watched her. And they said, yeah, she has the autism spectrum. And then as the behavior just began to get a little bit, like, worse, and, you know, now she's getting a little older, she's got a lot of mouth, and, you know, she throws us in Janta, and she wants to kick and do this and that. And I said, oh, no, not in here. I said, not in here. I said, the devil ain't coming up in here. I said, so you need to go have a seat. And she looked at me like I'm crazy. Oh, you will sit down. But I learned I can't give her sugar. I can't give her certain things that's going to trigger her. And that's what we have to do as people. We have to stop and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't be giving my child, you know, Fruit Loops at 10 o'clock at night because that's going to have him jumping all over my house. Even the food, you have to go back to what your children are eating. Because if you have a child, they say ADHD. I told them y'all put a bunch of letters together and y'all want to name somebody. Okay? It starts from home. It starts from home. Take the sugar out of your house. This is what I'm doing. I'm even speaking to myself. When I go shopping on Saturday, they getting checks. It ain't no more Fruit Loops. Because if you take that sugar away from these kids, maybe the behavior will change. I was watching something on the channel about 2 years ago, and the guy went into the school, and he changed the whole way they were eating, and the kids were totally different. So sometimes you got to go into that closet and say, you know what? I know they want this sugar. I know they want this stuff. Nah, I can't do it this time. I'll get maybe some Mott's, you know, what do you call it, fruit snacks that's got vegetables mixed in it. Or maybe they can have some celery with cream cheese for a snack. We got to do things different. You got to do things totally different. You got to try it at least. At least try it and see what works for you if that's what you want to do.
So, right, sister, let me say this, girl. we are just giving you a virtual hug because you done hit on another topic. Okay? Already took this conversation.
I learned. I'm just learning, girl.
Yes. And you're
and
right.
I just think that this is a blessing.
Diet.
And it's a blessing for our listeners. Because they're getting everything. You know, not only are we telling you don't beat your children, but we're giving solutions. And that's what we need as women, as sisters. We need to come with solutions. Like you said, you know, watch what you're feeding them. You know, educate yourself on their learning disabilities and who they are. And then educate yourself on how to discipline. Because the ways that we were taught as children are not working. Back in the day, when you had a learning disability, they say, yo, you acting dumb. And they beat you and they thought you was going to act right. You know? Not even knowing
and you know what? And they're doing that. They're doing it today. I see a mother, because her daughter lies, I'm going to punch her in her face. I'm going to punch. And I looked at her and I said, so when you get done punching her in her face, the problem is still going to be there. That's like when people, you leave and you go, okay, this man cheated on me, I'm leaving town, and this. Okay, go on vacation for about a month, but when you come back, the problem's going to be there. Take care of the problem before you try to do anything else. See why it is the problem. We got to get to the solution.
That's right.
We can't always want it, because I'm telling you, girl, I got some days that I got some teenage girls now. I got 4 girls and 2 boys. My oldest is 18 boy, and then my oldest girl is 16. And sometimes you got to get a little close in their face and go, I need you to just go sit down, okay, and do what I ask you to do. That's what I need you to do. But you got to take that deep breath, because you don't want to take those steps that will really send you to jail. You got to say, listen, I'm not even going to do this, okay, because if I put my hands on you, the problem is still going to be here. I got to find a solution. With my children, before the new year came in, I sat every last one of them down in the living room. I said, we're going to have a talk. You can't play your PlayStation Monday through Thursday, Friday through Sunday. I don't care what you do. As long as you're in church on Sunday, Friday, Saturday, you can play your PlayStation. Monday through Thursday, no. Because you need to be focused.
Right.
So it's setting rules. It's sticking to your rules. If you don't set rules, forget it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
That's right. That's right. And you have to enforce these rules. Again, Shireen just broke down the diet. That is absolutely 100% the truth, because what we are putting into our bodies, I'm just going to take it a step further. a lot of these medications that we may see our parents on, our grandparents on, or maybe some of us may be on them. A lot of these medications we would not need to be on if we changed our diet. And by changing our diet, it is not these things that are modified where they have these ingredients in there. You know, you have to check. Cook more things that are homemade. Try organic. Try growing stuff. Try starting a community garden. Remember back in the day, a lot of our ancestors did not have a lot of these ailments that we are looking at or facing today ourselves. Why?
That's right.
Because it was
real organic. It was real organic food. It wasn't what they call organic now. This stuff, they're spraying over this stuff.
That's
so you're right. It's definitely in the food. You got it. You can't have your kids eating all this frosted flakes. And this is how I was. I'm gonna be honest. I would go to BJ's. I gotta get their snacks. I had cheese noodles. I had all types of sugary drinks. Please, and you asking why your kids off the chain. Now I get no sugar drinks. I get no sugar drinks for my kids. For the little one, I have to get no sugar drinks. They be too through with me, but that's okay.
But their bodies and their minds are going to thank you later. They may not like it now, but that's all right.
Right.
You know, because you're doing your job as mama and you're taking care of them. You're looking out for them, and that's something that we got to educate ourselves on. And that's what we're here.
Right.
We are talking woman to woman, sister to sister. These are real issues. These are real problems, and we have to have real solutions to them. How do you get that? By having these conversations and getting to the solutions. What can we do? And then putting them into play. We have to execute these things.
That's right. And I think what you guys are doing is definitely great. You know, people need to hear it. You know, a lot of people, you know, they sit home and they don't, you know, they may be wanting to speak to somebody but don't know who to talk to. And just something like this being on Facebook, it might really go, you know what, maybe I should get on and hear what they got to say. Because a lot of people need help, but it's a pride thing.
Yeah.
It's a pride thing. I don't need these people in my business, because you know what? And this is the truth. And this is the truth, especially with a lot of us black people. We feel like, he know I'll punch that, you know what, in his face. You a punk. Why you crying like a girl? The devil is a liar. If your son gonna cry, let him cry, because crying may save his life. That's what I hate to hear in a female and in a man. Don't talk to your son like that. He's not a sissy. He's not a punk because he's crying. Let him cry, because his cry is going to walk away from a murder case.
That's right. That's right.
I'd rather him cry, screaming all the way down the street than him saying that he just murdered somebody. He need a lawyer.
That's right, because it was
he had to man up.
Him.
Right.
And like you said, pride. You know, our people really feel like we're too good to ask for help, and we're dying. What the Bible say? We die because of our lack of knowledge, because we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to ask nobody. And like you said, with the little boys being called, you don't cry. It reminds me of the clip you just played, where the woman was like, you ain't no man. You ain't no man. Like, that broke my heart. You know, the way she was talking to her son. And I'm just like, you know, it's really, really sad, because we really feel like what we're doing is right, and everybody wants to do what their parents did. But look at the psychological issues we've got. Why would we want our children to go through the same and have the same problems that we have? And we knew that we hated our childhood and we couldn't stand the way we was coming up. Why do we want to put them through the same thing?
That's right. That's the truth. That's the truth. Because once again, you don't have to beat the crap out of your kids to get them to understand where you're coming from. You really got to step back. It's all about taking that deep breath and realize, you know, what was that saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That devil is a liar. Names do hurt, and they stick with you.
That's right.
That's right.
They stick with you, and that's when it starts the low self-esteem of the children as they grow up.
Mm-hmm.
They get low self-esteem, then they start dealing with any kind of woman and dealing with any kind of man, and the men and the women begin to be older, way older than what that individual is. A 16-year-old dealing with a 20-year-old man because she didn't get that attention at home, or a little young man is about 18 years old dealing with a 30-year-old woman because he didn't get that kind of attention at home. It happens.
Yeah. That's right.
It happens. You want to lift up your kids' self-esteem. And I'm learning that. I'm learning this every day. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm learning this every day. Take your child out to dinner, talk, and see what's going on in their mind. That's what I have to do with my kids. What's going on? Okay, who you dealing with who? You're 16, honey. You don't need no boyfriend. Forget him. He be all right, move on. It ain't even, you can't be focused on these boys. So you got to get in the root of your children's head. Like, okay, I got to take my daughters out to eat, and I'll go, what's going on? And my daughter, she'll start talking, well, you know, such and such. And I said, well, you can't worry about stuff like that. Leave it be. But you have to have that time one-on-one with your children. You can't be a parent that works 24/7 and not have time for your kids. Because if you do, you're going to get a mess. You're going to get what your hand called for. I'm put it like that. That's when they start bugging out. Oh, you wasn't there for me. You worked all day long. You worked all week long. That's all you did was work. Well, I had to pay the bills. That's when we got to start leaning on God, because it ain't his will to work all these 84 hours a week.
Yes.
So we could be on another subject with this. Don't get me preaching.
Yes, and Kristen, do you remember the link, the first link you put on when the lady was like, I take care of you. I'm at school at night.
Yes.
I'm working. And it's like, that's the problem. You're not home.
That's right. That's right.
And
you know what? I think people don't speak enough about God. People don't speak enough about God. You have to lean on the Lord. The Lord does not want us working all these hours. He said, are you going to trust me, or is your mind going to be more on money? Be content with what you have. And if you need more, just say, Lord, I feel like I just want to go shopping for myself because I got 6 kids and I can't afford nothing. Can you put a few more extra dollars in my bank account? Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a really quick testimony. I worked for UPS for one day. Okay, I worked from 11 to 4. All right, so I was expecting after taxes probably $40 out of my check. But I'm gonna tell you how good God is, because I ended up quitting the day after, because I run this organization and I had to do 740 toys. That just wasn't the week to work anything seasonal. Okay, so when I went to pick up my check the other day, I'm expecting a $40 check. It said $160 with overtime. I'm like, huh? I said, I ain't worked this many hours, but I ain't even questioned it. I said, thank you, Jesus. Because I had money trying to get more. Thank you, Jesus. When you broke, call on him. I felt like breaking, and there's nothing wrong with working. Don't get me wrong. I was one of the mothers. I would pull 80 hours a week. Then I had to stop and say, wait a minute, I'm neglecting my kids. Ain't that much money in the world.
I know that's right. And he'll slow you down. God will slow you down when he needs you to slow down. Yeah. Because there was a time in my life, too, where I'm working, going to school, doing this, doing that. But he definitely will slow you down. And I just hope that the parents that are listening or the caregivers that are listening are taking heed, because tonight we are teaching. We're teaching tonight. There's so many lessons to learn about this topic. There's so many effects that this has on the youth, and it has on our whole society. Because when that youth is hurt, then our nation is hurt. Because then they go out and, like the killings where the kids is blowing up the schools. And like Shireen said, kids is committing suicide. This hurts a nation. This is not just one family that's being affected. All of our families are being affected.
That's right. And this is something that we want to leave you guys with. We are going to be closing out pretty soon, and we had such a blessing and of a surprise with Shireen coming in here and dropping all types of knowledge on us, on you, and that's what it's about, teaching. If you know better, you will do better. So now that you all, including ourselves, that we know better, we can't sit there and act like we don't know anymore. So that doesn't apply. We have to apply these things. And if you need help, seek that help. But I think the other thing, ladies, that we have to do, we have to create, especially for our people, and I'm not excluding any other race, but I'm talking about home. Right?
Yeah.
Home.
Right.
We have to create those opportunities, create those spaces and those places where we can go and seek the help that we need. And like Doreen said, like June said, like I know, like I feel, you have to create whoever. It doesn't matter what faith. If you call him Allah, you call him Jesus, if you say Buddha, you believe in a higher power. You have to call and you have to believe. And let the higher power, let God be the forefront of your life and lead you and your family to better days, to opening you up so that you may receive those blessings, you may receive those messages. So the enemy, when I say the enemy, that is anything that's negative that's going to come into your institution and try to diminish you from that very seed on out. Now, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, that very seed, think about how a lot of our families have been dismantled. We have to stop that. We have to educate ourselves, and we have to create those things. If you are knowledgeable in the area, share that knowledge. Knowledge, sharing is caring. Share that. Create that. We have to go and seek and lean on one another in order to make sure that we are raising up our future. These babies right now are the ones that are going to be taking charge when we are old and gray. They're the ones that are going to be running this country. They're the ones that are going to be in places of power. So how are we going to raise them? What type of world do we want? What type of opportunities do we want for our babies? What type of opportunities do we want to create for one another? We got to think about these things. But it starts with the family institution. It starts there. So if you are having problems with your family, mothers, we encourage you. I understand everybody has different parenting styles, and that's great. That's fine. We can't say anything about that. But you have to check your motivation. So when you're sitting here and you're thinking you're doing the right thing by disciplining your child, there's nothing wrong with disciplining your child. But there is a little question mark up there when you have to post it on social media. Think about what you're doing there. Think about that type of effect it's going to have on your child. Stop worrying about these little silly and petty likes in order to sit there and, I guess, boost up your own self-esteem and say, hey, look, I'm a good parent. You're making yourself look like an idiot, and you are harming your child in the process while you are seeking instant gratification. Think about that. This is Soul Kitten that said it to you. Think about that. Instant gratification at the expense of your child. I'm deep in the mic when I say that to you. This is my personal opinion, and I hope it resonates deep in your spirit. Stop that crap. You're not helping your babies, you're harming them. For a like on Facebook. I have to say it like that so you can understand what I'm saying. I'm about to preach on this for a second. Think about that. For a like on Facebook. You want to damage your child in the name of discipline for a like or to go viral. Think about what you're doing. June, I'm sorry, one more time. Think about what you're doing for a like on Facebook or to go viral. I have to say that to them one more time because if I see another damn video out there with somebody saying, look what I'm doing to my child, I'm coming for you. We're going to find you, and we're going to talk to you, and we're going to correct that behavior. Stop that crap, man. Stop it. The hell? For a like and to go viral on Facebook or some other social media site? Are you kidding me? You going to sacrifice your child and your child's well-being for that? What's your motivation? I had to get Gangsta Boogie. Because that just irritates me. I'm sorry. June, I'm a
I'm
fall
here.
back.
I'm just sitting here just laughing and just thinking about everything that we heard today. Think about everything that we heard today. I definitely agree with our caller, Shireen. I agree with Soul and what we're saying about, you don't want to do that. You don't want to take it to social media. You don't want to embarrass your children because you don't want to ruin your relationship, the relationship that you have with your child. The validation from people that mean nothing to you is not more important than your relationship with your child. And if you want to keep that relationship, you want to keep that trust, then you need to talk to your child, get to the mind and heart of that child, and try to understand what is it that they're going through. If your child is being promiscuous, try to understand why. What is it that she needs? She's seeking help. She's looking for help. She's not your competitor. She's not your opponent. She's your child. That's your baby girl. That's someone who God gave you the gift to be able to raise her and bring her up into knowledge of self. So what I want you to do is let that child understand her purpose and let her understand that she's worth more than just her body. And if you want her to go against trying to seek attention, then how dare you put your business on social media, which is also a way of gaining attention. So think about who you are. Think about what you're doing. If you're getting mad at her because she's seeking the wrong type of attention, reevaluate yourself, because that's exactly what you're doing when you yourself are going online and you're exposing your family's business like that. When I was a child, I didn't even like when my aunts talked about me. When my mother would call up her sister and be like, you know what June did? I didn't like that. Keep that in the house, keep that between the family, what's going on with us. So if I didn't like, my parents calling their sister, imagine how the child must feel with 50 or 250,000 viewers. Could you imagine? And I agree with Shireen, that is enough to commit suicide because everybody got to know your business. You probably only had about, 100, 150 friends on Facebook. Now you got millions of people seeing your video, knowing that you get beat, and knowing what your bra looks like thanks to your mom. That's not cool. So those are my closing words, is really think about it. Relationship is what we need to be focused on.
Right. And like June said and Shireen said, this is causing some serious damage when we are missing the signs. The signs. What are you doing? We talk about discipline, to spank and not to spank. But it's a lot deeper just about spanking. It's about what is the motivation behind you disciplining your child. How are you disciplining your child? What methods or steps are you taking to discipline your child? How are some of these methods working? And how are some of these methods working against you? At the end of the day, if you want to correct the problem, you got to get to the root of the problem. That's what we as parents, we as women, this our families, that's what we need to look at. Because we're missing the signs. There wouldn't be so many suicides out there. It wouldn't be so many young kids, young adults, and adults on medications for some mental illness. All right? It wouldn't be so much deviant behavior out here if we would get to the root of the problem. When you have somebody sitting there crying out for help and they're acting out, instead of beating that out of them, check and see where it's coming from. That's the root of the problem. Now, I'm sure we're going to revisit this topic because I know Lisa Antoinette has a lot to say about this. June and I were just warming you guys up, along with Shireen, our special surprise and caller. We thank you, Shireen, for calling on in and joining us and dropping many jewels tonight. So if you guys are just tuning in and you missed that, you may want to go on back and listen again to what was said, some of the clips that were played, some of the information that we shared here on Touche on the Cutting Edge Network. This is your girl, Soul Kitten. I'm in the studio with my beautiful sister,
June Lewis. Hey, hey. Now you can catch us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday here on the Cutting Edge Network. Yeah, and we also have our other sister, Lisa Antoinette. Together we make Touche. So with that, we hope that you, Touche, people. We hope you enjoyed this information, and you'll join us again next week. Or maybe, I'm not going to say maybe, join us next week and call on in at 516-418-5637. So until then, it's never goodbye. It's always, as my sister said, touche.